in the deep, shadowed folds of the Ashanti Hills, where cocoa trees grow so thick they blot out the sun and the rivers run red with clay. There lived a young cartographer named Kwame Adu, just 25. He had eyes as dark and deep as polished obsidian, and a heart that throbbed for secrets yet untold. His grandmother, Mum Ya, had passed away the winter before, leaving him with a strange and singular inheritance, a brittle ancient roll of goatskin. It was a map, but the inked lines didn't match any chart he had ever studied. In one corner, drawn in faded ochre, was a symbol that haunted him from his childhood nightmares, an eye, wide and knowing, trapped inside a broken circle. Beneath it, written in his grandmother's trembling script, were the words, "The Oracle of Silent Stones. Go only if you are ready to lose what you love most." At first, Kwame laughed. It seemed like a fantasy, a folk tale. When he showed it to his cousins, they laughed even harder, dismissing it as the rambling nonsense of an old woman who claimed she spoke to ghosts. But the laughter died in the quiet of the night. Back in his small room in Kumasi, when the wind rattled the tin roof, the map seemed to come alive. It felt like it was breathing. The lines on the goatskin would shift and writhe in the dim light. Rivers seemed to crawl across the surface. And always, that unsettling, I watched him unblinking. The joke wasn't funny anymore. A deep-seated curiosity, mixed with a touch of fear, began to take root in his soul. What was this place? What was this oracle? And what did his grandmother truly want him to find? But one morning, just before dawn, everything changed. Kwame had a dream so vivid it felt real. He saw his grandmother, Mum Ja, standing at the edge of a crumbling, moss-covered shrine. Her face was etched with sorrow, and she wept, not tears, but thick, dark drops of blood. He woke up in a cold sweat, his heart hammering against his ribs. The dream was a sign, an undeniable call to action. He couldn't ignore it any longer. Without a second thought, he grabbed a rucksack and began to pack. He took only the essentials: a flask of fresh water, a sharp machete for clearing the dense bush, a torch for the coming darkness, and, of course, the mysterious map. He moved with a quiet urgency, a sense of purpose he hadn't felt before. He told no one of his true destination. The secret of the map was his alone to carry. He left a single cryptic note for his younger sister, Abina, on the small kitchen table. It read, "If I am not back in 7 days, burn the map and forget me." With those heavy words left behind, he slipped out of the sleeping city and set his face to the north. He followed the old trade route, a path worn smooth by generations of merchants and travelers. He walked past the bustling, vibrant markets of Tekimon, where the air was thick with the smells of spices and roasting plantains, and the sounds of bartering voices filled the morning. But the further north he went, the more the world he knew began to fade away. The wide, well-trodden road soon narrowed into a winding footpath, choked with giant ferns and tangled vines that seemed to grab at his ankles. The familiar sounds of the city were replaced by the hum of insects and the calls of unseen birds. The air itself changed, growing heavy and humid, scented with the rich smell of damp earth and a strange, metallic temps that he couldn't quite place. It was the scent of secrets, of old and forgotten things. By dusk on the third day of his journey, the path disappeared completely, swallowed by the relentless jungle. He was truly alone now, in a world that felt ancient and untouched. Only the goatskin map guided him, its strange ink beginning to glow with a faint ethereal light under the rising moon. That night, exhausted, Kwame found shelter beneath a giant silk cotton tree. Its massive roots clutched the earth like the desperate, gnarled fingers of a sleeping giant. He was uneasy, the silence of the forest pressing in on him, but sleep eventually took him, and in his sleep, he dreamed again. It wasn't his grandmother's image that came to him this time, but a voice. It was a whisper, dry and ancient like stones rubbing together, and it seemed to come from the very ground beneath him. The voice said, "The stones remember. They always remember." He woke with a start, the words echoing in his mind. He looked at the map in his hand, its glowing lines seeming brighter now. He knew he was getting closer. The stones were waiting. The next 2 days were a blur of hacking through thick undergrowth and navigating treacherous, muddy terrain. The jungle fought him every step of the way. Thorny vines tore at his clothes and skin, and the humid air was a constant, suffocating blanket. But Kwame pushed on, driven by the memory of his grandmother's bleeding tears and the whispers from his dream. The map was his only compass, its glowing lines a beacon in the green darkness. He learned to read the subtle shifts in the landscape, matching them to the strange symbols on the goatskin. A cluster of oddly shaped rocks, a stream that forked in a peculiar way. These were his signposts. He felt a strange connection to the land, as if it were testing him, judging his resolve. Finally, on the evening of the 5th day, he broke through a dense wall of foliage and stumbled into a clearing. He stopped, breathless. Before him stood a sight that defied belief. A circle of colossal stones, each one taller than 3 men, rose from the earth. They were covered in moss and ancient carvings that swirled and spiraled like fingerprints of the gods. The air here was still and heavy, vibrating with a low, silent hum. This was it, the Oracle of Silent Stones. In the very center of the circle was a flat altar-like stone, and sitting upon it was a small, intricately carved wooden box. It seemed to be waiting for him. The eye on his map, he now realized, was identical to a carving on the central altar. With his heart pounding, Kwame cautiously approached the center of the circle. He felt countless invisible eyes on him, a presence that was neither malevolent nor benign, but simply ancient. It was the feeling of being observed by time itself. He reached the altar and hesitated for a moment before reaching out to touch the wooden box. It was cool and smooth beneath his fingertips, crafted from a dark, unfamiliar wood. As his fingers made contact, the whispering voice from his dream returned, clearer this time, speaking directly into his mind. "You have come," it said. "But the price of knowledge is memory. To open the box, you must offer what you love most. A memory, precious and pure. The stones demand a trade." Kwame understood then. Lose what you love most. It wasn't about a person or an object. It was about a part of himself. He closed his eyes and thought of his most cherished memory, sitting on his grandmother's lap as a child, listening to her stories of Anansi the spider, the smell of her cooking in the air, her laughter like music. It was a memory of pure love and safety. He felt a sharp pang of loss, a hollow ache in his chest, as if a piece of his soul were being carefully examined. He focused on the memory, offering it to the stones, to the ancient presence in the circle. A tear rolled down his cheek when he opened his eyes. The box was open. Inside, resting on a bed of faded red velvet, was not gold or jewels, but a single, smooth, black stone. As Kwame picked it up, it grew warm in his hand, and images, knowledge, and visions flooded his mind. He saw the history of his people, the secrets of the earth, the patterns of the stars, and glimpses of futures yet to come. He understood the language of the rivers and the trees. The oracle hadn't given him wealth, it had given him wisdom. He had lost a treasured memory of his grandmother, but in its place, he had gained a connection to the very magic she had believed in. He had become a guardian of the old ways, just like her. He was no longer just Kwamadu, the cartographer. He was something more. With the stone clutched tightly in his hand, he turned and began the long journey home, his heart heavy with loss, but his spirit soaring with newfound purpose. Thank you so much for joining me on this journey into the heart of Ashanti legend. If you enjoyed this story, please don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and ring the bell so you won't miss our next adventure into the world of myth and mystery. We'd love to have you back.